guys, it's Weekly Goods with Comics and Gaming Magazine, and I'm Wayne Santos, one of the editors over here. I'm probably the least qualified person to be doing this because I am neither cute nor witty, but this is what you're going to have to deal with for the foreseeable future. So, yeah. Let's get on with the news. First, the big thing for a lot of people, development on Grand Theft Auto 5 is done. It's gone gold. It's going to be in stores very, very soon. But there was this strange little mix-up in Europe, which caused Rockstar Games to say, and I quote, "They are deeply disappointed by the leaks and spoilers appearing online ahead of the game's official release." Okay, so here's what happened. It's like, I don't understand the mechanics of this at all, but for whatever reason, people on the European PlayStation Network who got the digital pre-order of the game somehow were also able to gain access to certain GTA 5 assets, including, it's like commercials and graphics and all kinds of other things. And of course, those have been leaking all over the internet, which is not really cool for anybody. So for you guys that still want to enjoy the story of Grand Theft Auto 5, maybe better just go into internet blackout for the next few weeks until that's all said and done. It's like just for your own safety, because nobody really enjoys it when you're just innocently surfing the net and you look at some comments and you're like, oh man, I didn't want to know that that person died. Not that I actually know, because I'm spoiler free myself. That was just an example. Next up, the Humble Bundle Origin Pack. It actually sold pretty well. We're looking at 2.1 million bundles sold. That's over $10.5 million for charities. So it's like, maybe EA is not that cheap after all. It's like good on you. With the Humble Bundle Origin Pack, we were looking at Dead Space 3, Burnout Paradise, Mirror's Edge, Battlefield 3, and several others which were at a pay-what-you-want price. And I guess a lot of you guys out there figured that since it was for charity, it was worth paying. The charities that were being covered by the Humble Bundle Origin Pack were the American Red Cross, the San Francisco AIDS Foundation, and the Human Rights Campaign. There were a few others, but those are the big heavy hitters. Another new development, this one is quite a bit more recent, but for you BioWare RPG fans out there, of which I am definitely a big one, BioWare has announced a very odd solution to a problem that a lot of us had, which was, if I'm going to be playing Dragon Age 3, aka Dragon Age Inquisition, on the PS4 and I had a PS3, or I'm going to be playing on the Xbox One and I had an Xbox 360, how are my saves going to carry over? Apparently their solution is it's not. Instead, what's going to happen is that they now have a new cloud service called Dragon Age Keep. So the way this works is you go online and it'll present you with all of the possible decisions that you could have made in Dragon Age 1 and Dragon Age 2, and it will store all of those decisions on the cloud. So when you get your nice shiny new version of Dragon Age Inquisition, regardless of what version it's on, what it's going to do is it's just going to pull the information from your Dragon Age Keep account and incorporate all of those decisions into your Dragon Age Inquisition playthrough. So it's a very unique decision. It's also really good for people that just want to mess around with the different games and just see what the different possibilities are like without actually having to necessarily go through and play all of the games again just because they want to make sure that they've got a kick-ass dwarf character for Dragon Age Inquisition, or elf, or whatever it is that you want to pick. So that's it. It's Dragon Age Keep. That's the solution. It's pretty unique, and I hope it works out for them. I was tempted to call this a September 1st fool's joke, but it's not September 1st yet. But Nintendo has announced the 2DS. So just imagine the 3DS, but in 2D and not a clamshell. It's just a single unit that you have to deal with. And that's the Nintendo 2DS for $130. Everybody is wondering whether this is a joke or not, but no, it's not a joke. This is actually happening. For $130, you can get a 2DS which will play all your 3DS games and all of your DS games. It's just that you're not going to get the glasses-less 3D effect. So that's $130 versus a 3DS, which I believe these days retails on average for about $150. I'm trying to figure out who Nintendo is aiming this at, but I'm completely baffled. So I guess we'll see when this thing goes out on sale, whether or not there's a market for this or not. I'm inclined to say probably not, but I'm sure they've got some smart guys over at Nintendo who are doing the homework on this. And last but not least, some good news that actually makes more sense, especially for me because I'm extremely happy to see this. Saints Row 4 sells 1 million units in its first week. Okay, it's like that's great because I'm a big believer in the game. I actually gave it like a pretty decent score when I reviewed it. So now with that extra million units that it's got, that now makes a grand total of nearly 9 million units sold for the entire franchise. So Deep Silver must be loving this because they picked up, the Saints Row property for, it's like a song after the untimely demise of THQ. And, it's like maybe, just maybe, if THQ had actually managed to last this long, they might have been reaping the rewards of this, and this would have saved them. But, it's like now we're discussing hypotheticals and maybes. So, it's like that's, but still, it's like a million units. It's like good on Saints Row 4. It's a hilarious game. It's not the gangster game that Saints Row 2 was, but for everybody else that just wants sheer ridiculous satirical comedy, highly recommend that you go out and get it. Okay, and last but not least, let's move on to the games that are coming out next week. There aren't actually that many, but most of them actually are fairly heavy hitters. For the fighting fans out there, okay, there's going to be a lot of argument about this, but it's like Dead or Alive 5 Ultimate. That's going to be coming out next week, so you guys can debate the merits of this versus Street Fighter or Killer Instinct on the Xbox One. It's like we'll have to see how that goes with the 4 characters that you can buy straight off the game. Anyway, that's just a big mess. The other one is Diablo 3 coming out on consoles, and it's actually been reviewing pretty well from the few outlets that already have it. It's like, it's Diablo 3. I don't have to tell you what you're getting into. You should know by now. Finally, for the platformer guys, we've got Rayman Legends. It's like, the last Rayman did very well critics-wise. It didn't sell as many units as it probably deserved to because it's one of the best platformers out there. So if you're still looking for a really decent, really beautiful, really challenging platformer, I highly recommend that you guys check this out. And last but not least, for the real-time strategy fans out there, Total War Rome 2 is coming out, and it's like it's the Total War series. It's it's classic. It's like historical warfare. You guys really need to check this out if you want to recreate, it's like those amazing epic battles from Lord of the Rings with massive forces of infantry clashing with other massive forces of infantry. There really isn't any other kind of combat out there quite like it. And it's like, I'm glad to see that some guys still think that, thousands of people clashing together with swords is still a cool thing. So that's it for Weekly Goods this week. I'm Wayne Santos, and whether you like it or not, you'll probably have to deal with me again next week. See you around.